Welcome, everyone. This is Coaching in Session. This is going to be our group 5 of the group edition of the podcast. We are basically going to be just giving some insight for the rest of 2024. We understand that half the year is already gone, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't make some changes, because we could have wasted the first 6 months, but it doesn't mean we have to waste the last 6 months. So going to be bringing in those guests right now. The first person I'm going to be introducing is Vin. Please tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help them.
Sure. Well, it's great to be back here, Michael, with you and Charlene over there, who I guess you'll intro in a minute. But I am a mental performance coach, a psychotherapist, and I'm a speaker. I've been in mental health for it's coming up on 14 years now, actually. So it's been a little while. And the way I help people is I've created a hybrid methodology. I call it my TMC method. And it's basically combining aspects of therapy, mentoring, and coaching in one service. So we could collapse timeframes, get people results quicker, not spending 20 years in therapy taking medications to get results, but rather effectively and quickly navigating to get to the roots of people's issues and then transform their lives with lasting transformation.
Mm-hmm. Charlene, what do you do?
What do? Okay, so I help women find husbands. I just want to say that. No, so I am a dating relationship coach and a feminine embodiment practitioner. And that's actually what I really do. I actually help women learn how to date, learn how to, clear love blocks and get the confidence and understand what they're looking for and find their husbands.
You don't have to worry about us. I'm married. Vin is in a committed relationship. You don't have to work on us, but I know there's a lot of people out there looking for love in all the wrong places. So hopefully we can give some direction to that. Yes. So let's begin with you, Charlene, because I think this could be a great starting point. Is right now, Valentine's Day has already passed. We are in the summer season now, getting into summer. So, people want to go into that spring fling type mindset where they're not worried about relationships right now. They might be worried about personal development, making sure that they're living the best life possible. But it's a very individualistic mindset. Of course, we're going to be hitting, the autumn seasons when it's the snuggle cuddle season where everyone's looking for a relationship. They're looking to settle down. But we have two different dynamics now. One where they have that independent mindset. They want to be by themselves. And then eventually they want to find somebody. What's your, I guess you can say, your prospect for the next 6 months?
Yeah. Well, I'm in the business of what I realize with women, we're always looking for relationships. I'm just telling you that right now. So yeah, that's kind of what we do.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
Honestly, no.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because they suck.
And when it comes to looking for relationships or not looking for relationships, but that's kind of like, I don't know, I would just say, I don't really notice women in the most part. If they're not, let's just say that if they're not looking for a relationship right now, because there's plenty of women that maybe not right now, that is the coolest time when you are not in a relationship, and it doesn't matter what time of the year. That is really the best time to actually truly find out who you are and, what you're actually looking for in terms of a relationship. So I like to tell people, take your time to do discovery, take your time to see, what is it that you're really looking for in terms of relationship, and what is it that you really like as a person? Because, if you don't know yourself first, then trying to go look for a relationship you're going to end up with, something that you might not want in the end. And so I really think that you have to find yourself first. And so take this time during the summer, the fall, to find out who you are.
Mm-hmm. So Vin, I want to pass that. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, this is just a general discussion. We can give any answer we want. I want to pass that to you, Vin, right? So I know you have a really good situation with your family and you have a wonderful relationship with your fiance, I believe, right? Is fiance?
She's my girlfriend, but I just call her my wife at this point.
Yeah. So you have a great situation.
The girlfriend. I'm just curious.
About 6 years.
Okay.
But they actually have a great relationship.
Awesome.
So I want to pass that to you and to get a different lens on what you see happening with the younger and maybe even the middle-aged people when it comes to relationships.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because there's a funny topic. If we're talking about like the older generation, like I've actually had to have conversations with my girlfriend's parents about commitment and the severity of our relationship. And I find commitment is actually one of the funnier things, in the sense that people assume because you have a title or you have a ring or you have a piece of paper that you are more committed than the next person. I've been in this relationship that's coming up on 6 years. We have a child together. We have a house together. I retired my girl from her job. She's a stay-at-home mom. She gets to do whatever she wants. I pay for everything. I'm happy to do all of that. And at the end of the day, I do it because I'm in love with her. We have this amazing relationship. We've done all the things. We're raising a kid. We're trying to have a second now. And yet people are, well, why aren't you married? Well, how about people out there are married. They're cheating on their wives. They hate each other. They're in relationships for 30 years feeling stuck. And my relationship is better than most people's. So I've had these conversations with her parents. And I think it is that older school generation of like, well, the ring says a lot. I'm like, no, me being here with no ring says more, actually. And I think that that's something that a lot of people have trouble understanding, is that your commitment is actually I don't want to say it's an interpersonal thing, or maybe it is. For men, I think commitment comes from a sense of duty. Do you have that duty and that desire to see the best for those around you? Do you have the commitment to yourself to enhance the lives of those around you? And then for a woman, I think her commitment comes from, does she feel like she's taken care of? Does she feel like her feminine energy is allowed to be explored, is allowed to be freed? Can she be that? I like to think sometimes women almost represent like a horse in the wild. Can she be that carefree representation where she could do what she wants and she feels secure to be showing up 100% fully as her? Because a lot of men will be critical and they might be stuck in their egos and they might be shutting that woman down, and then she can't even feel like she's in her feminine. As Charlene mentioned about feminine energy, there's a lot of power in the feminine energy, but it could be deeply impacted by the relationship with the masculine. And so I think the older generation has this heavy view of commitment, and I think the younger generation has a different view of it. I think the younger generation is like, why do we need all of these titles? Why do we need these papers? Why do we need these things? And why does it have to feel like it's rushed? Me and my girl aren't married because right now we're building businesses, or at least I am. I have 4, and I continue to build it. We're focused on financially growing and saving and clearing debt and doing all these other things that are seemingly a lot more important than a $5,000 ring or a $10,000 ring and a $20,000 wedding and a X amount honeymoon. Or, of course, some people are like, well, why don't you just go and sign the paperwork at the city hall? Because I don't want to do that. I want to have a big wedding. I want to have it where we're surrounded by all the people we love and care about. And I want it to be immaculate and I want it to be an amazing time. And she's in agreement with that. But the biggest question I always have for people is like, why does my relationship concern you? I'm in a damn great relationship. You might not be. Why do you care about mine? And so I always look at it that I think the younger generation has this interesting notion of, we're more focused on what's the relationship like. A lot of the older generation is like, well, what's the title? And I feel like the dating landscape has severely changed. And I don't know if it's for the better or the worse. I think it really just comes down to the individual.
Pass that back to Charlene.
Does she, if you asked her to marry you, did she want to get married?
You say yes.
Is it you or is it her?
It's neither. It's a mutual agreement that we have more things we're focused on than a wedding.
No, I'm not saying a wedding. I'm just talking about marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you asked her, seriously, if you asked her, will you marry me? She could say, no, I don't want to get married.
No, she would say yes.
Oh, okay. So she wants to get married.
Yeah, we both do.
Yeah, because that's a commitment.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the safety for women. Is, the marriage. And I don't know about, you have a different perspective, which is cool. I love this. I love that we're having a conversation. This is just opinions today, right? It's just our perspective, opinions. There's really no wrong or right. It's just where we come from it. But like, the older generation, there are many, many, many marriages that have a true commitment and are very satisfied and very happy. And they honor, having that commitment with marriage, because marriage to me is absolutely different than if we are not actually getting married. And the younger generation, like what I'm noticing with the younger generation, they don't know what they don't know. And the younger generation are exhausted and they are lonely and everything is too free for all. You know, like you were just talking about, like you're secure with your wife and your girlfriend, and because she's not your wife, she's really your girlfriend, and you're secure, or your fiance, and you're secure with her and you guys are good. But that's not really how overall men think, you know, when it comes to like, seriously. So that's a little different than we're talking the average. So a lot of women, they have no interest. Think about that. If they're going to be with a man and he's not wanting to have that commitment and marry her for the rest of his life. And yes, I believe 100% that it absolutely makes a difference. Anyone can say, you know, we're, you know, married, or we're in a relationship and we're doing life together and all that. Okay, cool. Where is the actual commitment? I don't think marriage, you have to do the big wedding. If you want, beautiful. If you don't, you don't have to. I don't think you have to do this, you know, expensive ring. If you want, fine. If you don't, fine. It really comes down to the commitment. And there's, you know, how does someone say I'm really committed? Well, let me tell you something. When you sign a paper and you literally in front of God or whatever, whoever your higher being, who you believe, that's an actual covenant that you guys make with one another. So that's why I'm in the business of helping women, because that's what they're looking for. And they're not looking for just, like I said, to just hook up or have a boyfriend and share their life with them. And then the guy can be like, it's over. Can a guy do that if he's married also? Yes, but they think differently. It's totally different. And so I do believe in marriage, and I am older. And so, and I have seen the value in it. And the reason why I'm doing what I do is because it actually really matters who you pick from the beginning. Because if you're in marriages that things are like not in alignment and stuff like that, it usually comes back to, first of all, you didn't know how to date. Second of all, you just went ahead and thought you fell in love, and now you got yourself in this like relationship and you're like, this was not my person. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I do believe in marriage. I do believe in that type, real commitment, that covenant with God. And that's what I feel that marriage was made for. And so, yeah, I just have a different perspective on that.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you at all. I 100% agree with you. And when people ask me, to your point, I am a very rare situation. I don't disagree with you at all. I think most men are scared. I think a lot of men in today's day and age especially do not know how to embrace their own masculinity. I think if they had a good woman, they'd be more likely to tear her down than build with her, because a man who's in his ego is going to miss the strongest thing that a woman brings to a relationship. A good woman can make a good man great because she could see what's inside him and she has the capability to unlock that. A man who does not feel secure, competent, or confident in himself will take her improvement suggestions as criticisms, and he will fight her. And he will not grow into the man she knows he's capable of. He will not be able to provide for her and love her the way she needs to be. And their growth in the relationship will be stunted. I do see that, however, as regardless, whether they're in a marriage or not, though, it really comes down to the two people. And I don't disagree. I think marriage is phenomenal. I think one of the problems that a lot of the younger generation sees is that a lot of the older generation, they're in marriages and they are not happy. They're not showing love to one another. They've lost their passion. They no longer have connection, and they're just coexisting. And a lot of the younger generation is like, well, why the hell would I want to build that? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that's a play on the marriage institution. I don't think that poorly represents what it is to be married. I think it's just people build that perspective because they look at it and they're like, well, my mom and dad are married, but they're miserable. It's like, but it's not the marriage that made them miserable. It's their ability to connect and grow together. But people don't really look at it that way. They're like, oh, well, maybe if they weren't married, they wouldn't be so miserable. I disagree. I think they just don't know how to connect. So I don't think there's anything wrong with marriage. And I get what you're saying. I think that there's a lot of power in understanding commitment. When I had a child, that really changed me as a man a lot, because there was so much more duty and obligation. And I think to your point, that might be something you're talking about in marriage. You have a duty and an obligation to the other person, and now it is a deeper commitment because of the fact that you've signed a paper. I mean, I look at it almost similarly with my child. I have such a deep commitment to be an amazing father because of that.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to break it down a little more. So for marriage to me is a covenant with God. And why I believe in this so wholeheartedly. First, I'm a Christian woman. And that is my faith. But why I believe this so heartedly is because what I have noticed, I have been doing this work for over 20 years. I've seen it all. And what I've noticed is when a couple doesn't understand what marriage is really about, they almost become their own God. And they almost like when life happens and life goes on and life, we all know life is hard. Life is hard. Life is always going to happen. And when life happens and people are going along with life, to me, you always have to understand that why are we even married in the first place? To me, getting married is to spend the rest of your life with someone, but also grow in your spiritual growth and truly make it more about somebody more than ourselves. And I notice too, when people really follow that in a marriage, it is almost like this, I want to say safety, but it's you have a different feeling, and especially for a woman. I honestly say for men too, because when we get earthly, I call it when we're in our ways, that hey, it's not. This is a covenant between us and God, and it helps truly have people have some. How would you say guidance? Because when people don't have guidance and people don't have honest rules in a sense, like they just do whatever the hell they want. And this is where marriages break. This is where marriages, like you said, you see a lot of marriages that gosh, it's so true. They've been married for a long time. You're like, oh, hell no, if that's marriage, I don't want that. I totally get that. Like that makes a lot of sense, right? But honestly, they're not looking at marriages because maybe they haven't been around it or they haven't seen what I see, because I see the opposite. I see just beautiful commitment marriages, and they are so grateful that their marriage has God in it, because it really comes down to our spiritual growth too. So anyway, so to me, marriage is not just commitment, just getting married. It is so much more.
If I may, I'm going to pop in here.
Yeah.
When we look at, the difference between marriage in front of God, like in a church, or if you are Baptist or whatever, you can do it anywhere. But when we just do it in a courthouse, that's the state now. We're getting the state involved in our relationship. So there is a difference. And I will agree with you that if we make a commitment in front of God, that's going to be eternal. But when we just say, let's run to the courthouse, that's in front of the state. Because I can go to Mexico, I can go to one of the churches in Mexico, get married in Mexico, but my marriage is not going to be valid in America if I bring it here. Yes, I can say I'm married, but the aspect of marriage in America today is if you don't have it in America, is basically null. Like there's no marriage. But then if you just have the aspect of commitment, and I will agree with Vin here, when you have your child as a man, I mean, everything changes. This is like, that child is everything to me. That woman is everything to me, because she gave me something I could never do by myself. And when you give yourself that mindset, you become a better person. You do more. You want to do everything you can for her. You want to give her the best life, give that kid the best life. There's no right time, for us to say, well, let's have that big wedding. Let's, go on that honeymoon. For me, I got married during the pandemic. We didn't have a honeymoon. There was no honeymoons during, 2020, but we had our honeymoon eventually. Of course, she was a little bit disheartened that we couldn't have that honeymoon or like the huge wedding, but we made it work. We did the courthouse thing, like we could have did the, church thing and had somewhat big thing. But I mean, during COVID, it was so many like restrictions, and we wanted to, get the ball rolling. There's just different mindsets. You don't have to necessarily say you need a certified title to be a wife, from the state to say that you love somebody. And I understand where you're coming from. It creates security for the woman, because now she's going to feel like this man is committed to me. But then to Vin's point, how many marriages, have infidelity, or, how many marriages end in divorce because things go wrong? And, this is the whole conversation of, we have 6 months left. How, like our first 6 months might have been crap. Our 6 months left could be crap. Like this is an election year. you think it's going to be good and everything is going to be, rainbows and stuff. It's not. Like, it's going to be a lot of hardship. And there was always a lot of hardship. We see opportunities too, but people are going to be in the mindset of trying to always do better, but yet they feel stuck where they are. And it doesn't matter if you're married. It doesn't matter if you're single. People are having a hard time right now. We look at the economy. We look at the uncertainty of everything. People are living in survival. So when we give ourselves an idea of something grandiose like living a happy life, it's always taking a back burner. That's why there are so many people, men and women, I'm not going to single out anybody, who are not getting married, with our modern younger generation, because they're focused on making sure they have, financial freedom, creating generational wealth. They're worried about the things career first, family second. It's a different mindset in different generations. I'm going to pass it to Vin first.
I think the biggest thing, at least in our conversation here today, is like the difference that I think Charlene and I are discussing is I'm very much about the commitment of the individual. And I think to Charlene's point, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're really hitting on the covenant between the triangle. It's the two people in God. And I think that God does belong in pretty much every aspect of life, because life is a spiritual game, right? We're not humans having a spiritual experience, we're spirits having a human experience. And so whenever you leave God out of anything, I think there's something that's lacking. And knowing that God is always there, I think makes it, for me at least, more important about that connection with the individual. Like, I look at it similarly as kind of what I was saying before, is like, I don't need a title. I don't need anything to be able to say I'm committed to my daughter and my girl. I don't need anything because that's what I want to do. And at the end of the day, I don't believe a title would ever stop me. If I got married and I wanted to get divorced, I'd do it. If I got married and I wanted to cheat, I would do it. Like, that won't stop me from doing anything. The only thing that could ever stop me is me. The reminder is the sentiment that because you have the title, God is there. Again, I don't disagree with that. I think maybe some people need that. And again, if we're trying to use me, I may not be the best example. I do a lot of work on myself. I've invested. This is my profession, right? So me having my views, I don't think that I have the right or the wrong views. I think these are just my views. And then to Charlene's point, I think she hits on a lot of amazing points, because there are a lot of men out there that, maybe without the title, they don't feel that sense of duty or obligation. Maybe they need something that can really push them to rise to the occasion, to be a damn man and give that girl the security. My girl has 100% trust and security in me. If anybody were to ask her, do you think Vin's going to leave you? She'd say no. And I've also proven it through my actions. I've proven it through stepping up, taking care of my family in more ways than one. I've proven it through being able to get my girl to stay home because that's what she truly desired. I always find a way to make it work, and I take on a lot of burden and responsibility because I want to, because it's my sense of duty to my family. And you're right, a lot of men will not do this. And I think maybe the problem is in today's society, where there's such a push for equality, we leave out that men and women are not equal. We're not supposed to be, because we have different things that make us tick. We have different things we're looking for. We have different things we need for safety, security, love, affection. And the more that we're pushing for this notion that there is no difference between man or woman, the more I believe that will actually destroy relationships. It will destroy how we interact and love one another, and it will create more division. And maybe the conversation is about, commitment. Maybe it's about how do you just show up and embody masculine energy and feminine energy, and how do we attract those, and how do we build upon those, and how do we show trust and love for the other type of energy? And perhaps that's what the focus needs to be. But I don't know.
For me, I'll just speak as a woman.
Sure.
Again, Vin, so let's say for an example, you're not married. You're not legally married. So you can actually just leave.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Where's her safety?
Her safety, at least because I'm in New York, is by New York State. We've been together 6 years. She has laws protecting her now.
It's not the same. Have you ever been divorced? It's not the same. And what happens is when you are legally married, so we're talking two different things. So I believe in both, 100%, and especially if a woman is going to be with a man and she's going to, have literally give her life to him, in the sense like he's going to lead her and she's going to have a child for him. And the reality is that man can just leave. And can you just leave? Let me tell you something. Can you just leave if you're married to? Yes, you can. But let me tell you, you're going to think twice. And she's going to get also financial security. Because how fair is that? It sounds like you're a solid man and you're not going anywhere. And that's beautiful. Awesome. Good job, man. That's awesome. Seriously. But we're not talking about you today. We're talking about, the majority of the men and the majority of the women out there. And there is no security for a woman if she gonna get herself and be in a relationship with a man and he's not willing. Like, show me your actual commitment to me. Don't just say you're committed to me. Show me you're committed to me and I am your girl for the rest of your life. And you got me good, bad, the whole things. So that is a security. That's a security for a woman. And especially in a position if she is having children, like she's having children for this man and for herself, of course, but she's having children. So she's already in a position that she's not out there making the money and being a bread maker. And then if the guy leaves, now what? Now what? So it is a really safety thing for women, that you want to know that your man, and I'm not talking about you. It sounds like you're all in, man,
Sure.
but you want to know that your man absolutely has no problem with saying, I will sign away. What is mine is yours and yours is mine, girlfriend, 100%. How is a woman going to have that security if the guy's not going to want to marry her?
Yeah. I think there's also a pretty interesting point because we do talk about security. And when we look at security from a man's standpoint,
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to what the man's security is. Because we might say, well, the man makes the money and he can leave. Sure. If
Yep.
he does that and he leaves,
Yep.
and let's say he has a child.
Yep.
Right? Child support usually leaves a man completely unable to take care of himself. Most states. Maybe not
He
far.
shouldn't leave his wife. You know what I mean? Like, seriously.
Well,
Well,
I'm just gonna
this is why
step in
men
here.
wouldn't get married. That's the
What,
reason.
Michael,
because-
what do you want to say?
what Vin was saying is that there's common law marriages, and and depending on where you live, it's going to range in time, and so it could be 90 days, it could be less. I know certain places are like 3 years, so like after 3 years of being in the same living situation, same address, things like that, you're considered married, whether you like it or not. Yes, Charlene,
100%.
yes.
No, Michael.
Legally,
Well, I'm
you're
telling
not.
you, legally, you don't get. No, you do not. No.
Yes,
Say,
yes, a common law marriage, a common law marriage. I'm telling you, a common law marriage I'm telling you, it's going to be split. It's very similar to how if you are married. Now that woman can still get child support because of course the child's going to be the man's.
Yes.
And then so she's going to get security there.
They're not going to split it all. Nope, it doesn't. It's not like that. It's not their money together. But the only way that a woman can truly, it has to be legally bound. I'm telling you, that's how it is. Because if a man decides, if you're saying I've been living with this guy for so long or whatever, okay, like how do we know that? There's no actual legal document, and the woman doesn't get to say, okay, half is yours, half is mine. And listen, now you have a woman that again hasn't been working, doesn't have the financial resources. A lot of time we don't even now with the courts, they're not even big on any more alimony. And now we're talking just child support. Child support, yeah. Where's that going to get a woman? That, usually she loses the house. The guy keeps the house. He keeps everything. And if it was his house in the beginning, he gonna stay with the house. And if it was his stuff in the beginning, there is no equalness. So that's not a security. That is not an actual legal document that says this is both of ours and we both are going to split everything. So
well, let's flip the script. Let's flip the script. 70% of marriages are that end in divorce are initiated by the woman. So let's look at the security for the guy. Where is his security? Does he not get any?
Well, what security in what sense?
Well, apparently you're talking about financial security,
Yes.
where if a woman is a stay-at-home wife and they're not committed or in a legal binding marriage, she's going to get nothing.
Right. And he's going to, so if a guy's already, if the woman is, think about that. If the
Mhm.
guy's already working, he's the head of the household, he's working, what security are you meaning? Because she's the one that's not working. She's the one that is raising the children. She's the one that put her career and her life to raise the kid. And the guy is the one that's working and providing. So what do you mean by security? He's going to be fine.
So,
he just goes off.
so,
And
so wouldn't you say,
yeah.
wouldn't you say a issue that we're having in society is that why even get or put yourself in a relationship because you can be left stranded? Let's be independent, be our boss ladies, be independent, not need a man. And then from there, we don't have to worry about safety and security anymore.
So I'm not into that. So what I'm into is I want to tell women, I said, this whole like independent is bullshit, because if you want to be a mom and you want to raise children, right? Like trying to be boss babe independent, then you're already saying that you don't need a man. You don't need a man to have a family or anything like that. But I teach women to be strong, and find a strong Christian man so he can, like, you want to follow a man that is going to lead you, and you don't want to follow, you know what I mean? Like a weak man. So to me, I try to teach women that's the femininity. That is truly the feminine, is having that security. And if I let it, like, if I look at a man, seriously, and I'm like, okay, so what's up? Where are you going? That's how I always look at it. Where are you going? What are your goals? What are your dreams? For me, a woman is a helpmate. And it's totally different, you guys, because we're the ones that have the children. Think about that. Like, think about that. That is a really scary place to be. Because if we want to, you actually need a strong man, a strong leader, a man that is not just just about himself. You need a man that knows, oh my goodness, this is a commitment for the rest of my life. I have a commitment for God. I signed the document paper. You know what I mean? Like, this is my girl, like, regardless of whatever it is. So to me, it is so important. And I think that is what's missing, you guys. That is actually what's missing. We're not looking at life that way. And guess what? Life keeps going by, right? And people are finding themselves, they're lonelier, they're sadder, they're not knowing what they're looking for. So I help people from the beginning find the right person from the beginning.
Okay. So we have that.
Stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have that trust, right? You want that woman to be in her feminine nature to find the best man for her, right?
And
Wouldn't you say,
for him.
yes, the best fit, strongest male for her, right?
Yep.
Wouldn't you say that she now has found this person, she should put faith in him, correct?
100%.
So why is she worried about commitment?
Because life is life, and people are unpredictable, and things can happen. And if she doesn't have a man really telling her, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. I'm full. What is full commitment? Girl, let me tell you what, like, seriously, full commitment is, we got this. Like, I'm going to marry you. Everything is what's mine is yours. We're going to do it all together. It is just all together. And we're going to have this covenant with God. We're going to make sure that we are, we're not going to be in the flesh. We're going to make sure that we are following what God wants for us. And that's where we get into submissive. And that's when we get into all that stuff, because it works. Women want a godly man that wants to marry and commit with them, and they want to follow the right man. What's happening is that men are not finding the right women are not finding the right man, and it's just a mess. So that's why I want to bring it back to tradition. And I want it because it actually works. And why it doesn't work is because you don't marry the right person. So you got to learn how to marry the right person. You got to know who you are, what you're looking for, what are your alignment, what are your guys' like goals together. Like, you got to know all that kind of stuff before we go ahead and get married and all this stuff and sign the paper. No. That's what's important.
Mm-hmm. And this is a good transition to pass it to Vin now, because I want to get his projections for the next 6 months, because he has a history in therapy, the work that he does in leadership, helping people be strong leaders. He's a great example of that. What is your projection for the next 6 months?
I think the next 6 months, Probably going to be a lot like the last 6 months. Unless we're talking
I mean, we have an election coming up.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things coming up.
But regardless of that, the world always has cycles. Like if you really look at the world, the environment, societies, history, nothing really changes much. It just changes in the way we experience it. Civilizations build and fall. The earth has heating and cooling cycles. People will find something to be upset about. People will find something to be excited about. Something new will take something else's place, and then it will get replaced by the next thing. We all have cycles. The universe, the earth, us. So I always look at it like the world's always going to be doing what the world does. And my projections, I guess, if we really have to say, like, what's going to happen? Well, the election's going to happen. Half of America is going to be pissed. The other half is going to be celebrating and shoving it in their face. There's going to be wars that are going to continue to happen. People will die. People will be born. We are going to see the AI is going to continue to grow. How it will grow, I think it's going to continue to grow to a point that people are really going to continue to step into what they're already looking for, which is more connection, right? So as we see AI on the rise, we also see community on the rise. There's huge pushes for community. If you look at all these new apps and all these new things, it's find your tribe, find your community, get connected, find this, find that. Because nowadays everything is automated. Everything is being delegated. You don't even have to show up to make content anymore. People can literally take your face, take your voice, take your background, and then you could have an AI write scripts. And that AI that just took your face, your voice, and your background can use the scripts to create content. You don't even have to show up for your viewers anymore. You can completely delegate out everything. And with the world becoming so disconnected, we're all looking for connection. And so my projection is that people are going to keep looking for connection. The world is going to do what the world's going to do. And then AI is going to continue to skyrocket.
Charlene, want to talk on that?
I think no matter what is going on in the world, it actually comes down to the connection and the people that you love, period. Because that's to me is what life is about. It's really, we're not on an island by ourselves. And it's this interesting story. I have my girlfriend of mine. I've known my girlfriend since I was 10 years old. And her mom, I would consider to be like a second mom to me, right? And 2 weeks ago, she had a stroke. And she's been in the hospital for 2 weeks. And things have been really tough. And they're trying to figure out, like, what's going to happen, what damage, all that kind of good stuff. And this is what I've noticed when it comes to connection. Even though Martha has that's my girlfriend's mother. Even though Martha has 2 daughters and they are there and, they come and visit in the hospital because someone has to be there pretty much 24 hours. They come visit. Really, like what Martha in her, with her tube and her, like not being able to speak, just being able to kind of do a little bit of hand gestures. It is the connection that she wants. She wants her man. She wants her husband. And it's crazy. Even though she can't talk, I thought about it. I was telling Belinda, I was telling my girlfriend, I said, isn't that interesting? In the end of the day, what really happens? Like, because if you have kids or not kids, your kids will be there for a certain point, right? For a certain point. But your partner is the one that's going to be there for you in the good, the bad, all the thing. And it is truly because of the connection that you have with someone. So I totally agree with you, Vin. I think that it is connection. I think that that's what we're all looking for is true connection, true authenticity. To me, there's nothing else. Like that is everything else will go to waste. Everything else goes to waste, right?
Then we can look at the deeper aspect of community and connection because our youth today, they will choose community versus connection, even though they're looking for connection within the community. They'll find like-minded individuals on social media apps, whether it be Facebook, Twitter X, Instagram. They find like-minded individuals. They create these connections, but these connections are not like your traditional connections because these connections can be easily lost. The moment someone stops sending messages or posting, it's almost like they become irrelevant. Where now I guess you could it all ties into our conversation today where it's like, how can someone be committed to someone if they're not connected to someone? And in our world today, when we can, be a part of these LinkedIn groups and all of these pages and stuff like that, like how connected are you with these individuals? Yes, like with you and your friend, like what she's going through, you have that connection, but today we lack that type of connection.
That's what we need. That's actually what we need, because having true connection. Let me tell you something else that I find very interesting. So I am 52 years old, and I'm young, but I'm 52 years old. And I always felt like at my age, I don't have room or whatever to not have true connections with people, have real relationships, in the sense of not so surface, right? Like I want to go deep. Like I don't like small talk. I like deep. I like to, really get to know you, talk about God, talk about life, talk about money, talk about politics. Like I want to go deep. Okay. And I want to have real conversations. And I thought for like, seriously, I was like, well, at my age, it's hard to find friends, and how can you really get real friends? And how can you really get something that you feel that it's not so surface? Well, I just want to let you know, it does come down to like, not just like-minded people that want exactly what you are wanting too. And I was in this Bible study group, and I don't know how this happened. They said it was just faith of God, but I was in this Bible study group, and we all came. It was the very first day. So nobody knew nobody. I didn't know anybody in this Bible study group. It was a women's Bible study group, and we were walking to this table, and there was this group of women that were kind of all going to the same. There was like 30 tables everywhere. We're just talking this particular table. This group of women that went to this table. And for some reason, I don't know what it was, but like we all clicked, even though we're so different. And because of that, we have such a connection that I can honestly say that I never thought at my age, and especially with women, it's hard, for us women. And I think for men too, to find real, genuine friends, right? Genuine friends, that type of connection, that it actually happened. So it's out there, you guys. It's available still. It is just really finding the right people. And it's not settling. Don't settle for, those surface type of relationships, because connection is really where it's at.
Pass that to Ben.
And I think connection, I think there's a few different ways that you could have it, but I find that the best way is through hardship and pain. And most people in today's society, which is why I think there's such a lack of connection, is because most people aren't trying to do anything that's hard. There's nobody trying to do anything that actually makes sense. Like, in today's society, everybody's putting emphasis on happiness. Stop trying to be happy. Go figure out how to be productive. And when you go figure out how to be productive, you'll find a lot of happiness. Back when I was a firefighter, the biggest thing that bonded the guys there was not the things we did day in and day out. It's when we hit a really shitty situation together, and then we knew, like, we experienced the same things. And when we experienced the same things, that built a deeper connection than any type of conversation could ever do. I don't have to say a damn thing to know what I just went through with you. And in that, we have an unspoken bond. You really want depth? Go do some hard things with some people. Nowadays, everybody's shying away from it. I don't want to do hard stuff. I want to sit in my house and play video games and message people. I don't want to build a business. I want to get a 9-to-5 that's just going to pay me $250,000 to sit home and work from home and work 3 hours a day and take coffee breaks whenever the hell I feel like it. Like, you want connection? Go through the hard stuff. My girl helped me become a better man. The hard stuff we went through was she challenged me a lot. She didn't let me get away with anything. We'd fight for what seemingly felt like hours sometimes because she wasn't willing to let me not see something. And I think the kind of guy that I am is that because I really want to be in a good relationship, even though I would get a little bit stubborn at times, I would still be willing to face the harder truth that she wanted to push into my face. Right? Maybe I didn't want it at the time, and maybe I'd have to walk away and then come back to see it. But that hardship has always helped me. And so when people ask me, like, why are you with your girl? It's not because she cooks. It's not because she cleans, because she does okay with those. And it's not because she's the mother of my child. It's honestly not. I could go have a kid with anybody. It's not hard. I could go have sex with anyone. It's not hard. I could go do a lot of I could hire a maid to cook and clean. I could get a meal prep company. I could delegate out 95% of what she brings to the table. The 5% that I cannot delegate out is something that is very rare, that if you find in a woman, you need to stay with her forever. And it's that she challenges me and she makes me a better man. And the day she stops doing that, probably would be the day our relationship would end. But because she loves me and she believes in me and she has faith in me and she trusts me and I lead her, she always challenges me to step up and to be a better man. She always challenges me to grow. She challenges me in the hardest ways possible. And I've come to find another part of a great woman is that she's a mirror. She will show the man what's inside him. I think my girl does that for me very effectively. And so hardship is actually the key to connection. But people face hardship and they turn away. In today's generation especially. Oh, me and my guy are fighting, but that's okay. I have 10 guys in my Instagram DMs. One of them will give me the affection I seek without this bull crap attached. Vice versa for the guy. Guy will say the same thing. My girl's a nag, ball and chain. You got this other girl. She's telling me, we could hang out. I'll go talk to her. There's a lot of rejection of hardship in today's society because it's become so much easier. Everything is so much more convenient to get around, to get things brought to your house. Convenience is everywhere. And when you accept so much convenience and you accept so much ease into your life, it stops building what we need the most, which is the capability to go through something difficult, to build our skin, to build our connection, to build our commitment. I have duty to my girl, not because of the fact that she's my mom, or she's my daughter's mother. I have commitment to my girl because we go through hardship, and I have duty to her because she's helped me become the man I am.
Mm-hmm. And to talk on that point, because one of the things, for the rest of the year 2024, right, the next 6 months, when we give ourselves the aspect of growth, right, you want that 5% where she pushes you, where she's basically helping you be a better person. Wouldn't there be a mindset for the next 6 months that you're going to be better than where you are right now? It's not going to be the same.
Oh, for sure. I mean, me specifically, if we're talking about me specifically, I'm always trying something new. If we're talking about for the listeners, which of course we should be providing them value, mm-hmm. I would say to them, it's really just that. Most of the time, the thing that you're avoiding is the thing you need to do the most if you want to start changing the trajectory of your life. Whether it's the hard conversation with a friend, a family member, your girl, your husband, doesn't matter. Whether it's learning a new skill so you could generate more income, whether it's facing a phobia or an emotional trauma from your past, doesn't matter. There's always something in your life, right? There's 5 big components. We have mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. Like if you're lacking in one of those 5, pick a freaking topic. If you're lacking in all of them, do something different in each one. But the reality is that there's nobody that's ever hitting their max capacities, right? Like if you look at a tree, when does it stop growing? When it dies or when it just doesn't. If you look at an animal, when does it stop trying to become the leader of its pack or the strongest one in the pack? It doesn't. Humans are interesting because we are the only creature on this planet that can decide we're not going to challenge ourselves to hit our max capabilities. And we don't even know what they are because most of us never reach them. But you can rest assured that your soul is unlimited. It's got unlimited potential, unlimited power. So you also have an unlimited capability to have growth. So just go seek out the hard things in your life and start doing them. Stop being like, oh, it's hard, so I shouldn't do it. It's like, no, it's hard, so you should do it.
Where does trust begin then? Does it begin with ourselves or in others believing in ourselves?
It has to start with you. Everything starts with you. Your world is a reflection of you. It's just a mirror. So if you're finding that your life, there's something wrong in your relationships or this or that, just look at yourself first. Trust is something that you can only inspire in others. They don't have it for you. You have to give it to them. You have to give them a reason to trust you. What have you done? Why should someone trust you? If you're somebody selling a service, why should somebody pay you? What have you done with your life, your profession, your career? If you're supposedly wanting to be this good man that's going to lead your wife, why would she trust you to lead her? What have you shown her? How have you shown up in your life that she's going to observe you? Are you sitting there cracking open a cold one with the boys, gaming, staying up late, pitching about your job? I wouldn't date that man. That man is not one to be trusted. But if you've shown her through your actions and your capability and your desires, then you can always inspire trust in others. And I find what's interesting is, especially for men, I can't speak for women, but for men get a lot of their confidence from their capability. A dangerous man is one who doesn't feel capable. He's going to be overly emotional. He's going to be a flight risk. He's going to be a danger to himself and others. And that overly emotional man, what he really lacks is confidence. But he lacks confidence because he's never done a damn thing to earn it. So if you want to start becoming a capable man, you have to become a confident man. But confidence is only earned through competency. And competency comes through doing it. So go out and do shit.
Same question for you, Charlene.
What's the question? I was just I forgot the question.
Well, what he said was powerful, so I can understand you getting lost in everything he said. But the question was, does trust begin? Yeah, does trust begin with the individual, or is it something that someone has to push onto someone?
No, it's 100%. Just like what Vin said, absolutely is the individual, and you got and how you build trust with yourself is you follow your own commitments. You follow your own agreements that you make. That's how you start first. Because if you are telling yourself, I'm going to do this or do that, and you don't follow through, then you don't even trust yourself. If you're not even trusting yourself, you ain't going to be trusting anybody else. So trust has to be started first. And I always say, do baby steps, do that for yourself. Say, okay, I'm going to try something different, or I'm going to go do this or go work out or whatever that is. And give yourself that opportunity to have that trust with yourself, or that commitment that you're going to follow through. Once you start knowing that about yourself, things start shifting because you can add as you go. So you have to be able to know that about yourself first. Absolutely. So I agree with what he said.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I like to do with the group episodes is I don't like to always be the host. I like to pass it to other people to ask questions, and I'm going to pass the host spot to Vin first, and then we're going to pass it to you, Charlene, where Vin gets to ask us questions, maybe projections, things going on. Maybe he's looking for, again, like a mastermind type of question where he's trying to get different viewpoints on something. So Vin, you can ask any question that might come to your mind. It could be about what we talked about or something new.
Wow. Okay, the floor is open. Stalling for a moment so I could think of a question.
Zach, if you're on the spot, man.
Yeah.
This wasn't in the memo, I swear.
Exactly.
I guess the question that I would have for the two of you is, what are you most excited, if we're projecting next 6 months?
Yeah.
What are you most excited or hoping that you will see start to occur in the next 6 months that could potentially enhance us as individuals or society as a whole?
Who do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the ex-host.
Oh, I got fired, but here we go.
Here we go.
I believe we have lost the idea of what it is to be a community, and community being a country, where we have taken a lot of like a lot of things away from school, from children, and as society begins to progress and our culture seems to be becoming more divided, we can look at any community where it has this disdain almost for other communities. We have become so segregated, and we might not even know that we do it. It's just happening. I think about what would be the glue to get everyone back together. If we begin with our youth and we get them all on board and everyone understands that they don't have to be fighting each other, that's going to be what happens as generations go on. It's going to be the glue. But if we have to look at a more rapid response, it would have to be something on a country level where we bring back being prideful of loving our country or supporting our neighbors. Now we have a very me aspect. We have this entitlement aspect where I care about me. And I'm not saying that I'm going around knocking on my neighbor's door saying, hey, do you need something? But all my neighbors, they know me. I'm outside with my kid and we're just playing with water, playing with grass and sticks and stuff. That's what he likes. He's only one. But if they ever came, asked me for something, no problem. They know that from me. But when we start to branch off, it starts to have a lot more hate and discrimination. So what I would like to see is people bringing back community, people bringing back the love for our nation and of our brothers and sisters, rather than saying, I am only worried about me and my progression. What I do here with the podcast is not about me. It's about bringing on other coaches. This is about, trying to make a ripple effect for reaching out to as many individuals as I can, because I understand I can't do everything myself. And I know some people, they think it's going to be a scarcity mindset of, hey, you're bringing on all these other coaches, you're losing business. No, I'm not. I have a big lofty goal, and I know I can't do that goal by myself. But yet many people, they have this aspect of, I'm going to go to war by myself and I'm going to win the war, when wars are not fought by yourself being an individual, is fought with an army. So we have to give ourselves this idea that we have to be able to trust the people behind our back. And right now, everyone's looking left and right, behind and front, because they can't trust anybody.
I love it. Charlene, it's up to you.
Ask me the question again.
Well, I forgot it myself. No.
What do I want to see, like, the change in the next 6 months?
Yeah. What would you hope that maybe people could
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on that, because what I, with all my heart, what I feel, what is needed, but really what's needing, is that we have gotten so caught up on me, meaning like everybody's so worried about themselves and if they're happy and if they have this and they have that. But the reality is, we are losing our faith. We're losing what it is to really serve other people. And that to me is just something that I feel drastically needs to happen. This is the conversations that I really believe that need to happen. We have a lot of self-centered people right now walking around in this world. It is excruciating. They think that, they can literally, it's okay to be born and they can change who they're born. Like, everyone is like saying everything's okay. I can do whatever I want as long as I'm happy, as long as this is good. And really, it is not serving us as a country, as a world, all that kind of good stuff. So I would like things to slow down. I would like people to start getting back into their faith, getting back into really, truly some humbleness. And I like, why is everyone in such a race? And why aren't we like, where are we going? And like we said earlier, with connections and stuff like that. So I think that this world is needing that so much. We have just too many self-centered people, too many people that are not understanding that we are here to serve one another. We're here to serve one another. And so that, to me, in a nutshell, is what I pray for all the time. And I just, me as an individual person, I'm not even kidding you. I have, I've gone from, looking at things a certain way. I get caught up. I get caught up in, the shiny things in the world and all that. But really, in the end of the day, like, things put me in perspective. Let's go back to Martha. Like, seriously. Now that Martha is in the hospital and, doesn't even matter all the other stuff and the rushing and all that. What was really is the humbleness and the gratitude that she's even still alive. So that's what I think that, for me, what I would love to see. I think we need to slow down. I think that we need to be more in our faith. We need to be more in gratitude and not just, keep thinking that we need more and more and more. And just honestly, and not really valuing relationships and valuing those connections with people. So that's what I would say.
I love it. And I'll add one thing to answer my own question to some degree. I would say, I think these are actually the three best things. So for all the listeners, like, you guys should aim to aspire for faith, community. And then I just will somewhat echo what I said before of, like, problems. People think that your life is good if you have no problems. But that's actually not true. In fact, there's even research backed in psychology that the better a society gets, the more problems we tend to have because we look for it. Because the reality is that problems are what give your life meaning, not the good things. So seek out building community, seek out your faith, seek out some problems. That was me just answering my own question.
No, powerful. Charlene, you get to ask us a question. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think I know what it's going to be.
You know it's going to be.
I know. I'm almost certain.
So for the listeners,
Mm-hmm.
we have 2 men right now on here right now. When it comes to a relationship and what you're looking for, and I want to hear your both individual answers. What truly it is that you are looking for in a relationship? And how do you know, as let's say before you guys were single, right? Before you guys were single, this would be very valuable for people. How did you know how to pick the women that you have now? Because it seems like both of you have found, your people, your person, your lady, your woman. What would be your answer in the sense of so I have two questions, right? Kind of, how did you know and what were you really looking for? Because it seems like you both have really great relationships.
Sure.
Okay. Who do you want to pass it to?
Michael.
Okay. So this is the worst advice and the best advice.
Well, hold on. Did you think I was going to ask that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So this is the worst advice and the best advice. Before I got married and I would talk to people who are engaged or getting married, I always asked them, how did you know that she was the one? Yeah. And they always say, oh, you just know. And it's the worst advice, because how do you just know? Like you just see someone, you're like, I'm going to marry that girl. And it's very close to that, where you start to speak with them and you're talking to them. And it's almost like, where have you been all my life? Where it seems like all the pieces that were missing in your life make you complete. And it helps you know yourself better. And from that, you understand that she's going to be able to help propel you in a direction that maybe you would have had a more challenging time by yourself. So as a woman, when when you have that man that you want to marry or just be with, you want him to be better. You want him to succeed. And the look in your eyes would be of I know you can do it. And that man should have the ambition of, the fact that you believe I can should push me and propel me to do it. For the men who don't show up, and they might find these good women who are trying to push them to be better, but yet they don't take action, that's just not the right man for that woman. The man who understands that look is ready for marriage, and then he's ready to commit, whether it be on paper or not on paper, in front of God or not on God. It's a commitment, because guys have commitment a little bit different. It's like, if I go to war, I don't have to have the same uniform as my best friend or my brother. As long as I say, I got you. That, that's the end of it, right? I'm not going to turn back on my word. And that's why we look at the divorce rates. Most men just don't go back on the word. That's a commitment, right? Sometimes there's going to be situations when we, I guess you can say, get out. It's going to be rare, right? We can't just always look at the minority and say, well, since this can happen, we should be worried about it. We should be looking at how we can look at the majority and saying, okay, if this is good, all right, how can we make it better? And if it's not good, how can we start to make some changes where things become good? So the way you know is basically, you just know the energy, the feel. She wants you to be good. And then when we're looking at the aspect of commitment again, it's difficult because everyone's going to have a different situation. For example, let's say I grew up with a broken household. My mom's a single mom. My dad is out of the picture. I can use that perspective to say, well, I'm not going to be in that situation. I'm going to make sure I do my best to have a loving and happy relationship. Or I can say, this is how a man and a woman should be, right? Separated, right? Where there's just disharmony. And if we can just instill a bit of wisdom in those situations, we can understand, is this what we truly want in the end? Because most people don't know what they want until they finally get it. And then they realize, wait, this is not truly what I desire. So take some time to write down what you desire in a woman, in a career, in a life. And then you can start to pinpoint exactly what you should be looking for in your values and just overall aspects of life.
How did you know then your wife was the one for you?
Well, it goes back to, you understand that she's that missing piece.
She was a missing piece for you. So that's what it was. I just want to know specifically for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was, you knew when you met her. Are you guys legally married?
We are.
Okay.
But it was a courthouse marriage,
But you're legally married.
according to the state. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
But
legally
to be honest, if I wanted to go to Colombia or Mexico and get married, it'll be the same thing. It'll be the same aspect. You know, the commitment would be there. I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that I'm married to her.
Right. But you guys did do through the court, which is a legal document.
Well, the only reason I did it was because I wanted to do a test. That's the only reason I did it.
Okay.
Because for me,
another podcast.
well, it's probably going to be another podcast.
Yeah, that's good. Bring me back on for that one, Michael. You know, we're friends. Okay.
For me, we have, again, if we look at what's happening with men today not wanting to commit to marriage because of the 50-50 thing, right? I said I would rather test this out for myself, right? The fear of losing everything. I don't care if I lost 100% of everything I had. To be honest, if that day happened, I would be a better person because of it. Because I already know everything I lost, I'm going to double, triple whatever I'm doing in the effort to be better than where, I was pre-divorce. That's me. Is more of a challenge. So the door is always open for her to leave. She understands that. I'm not here to keep her caged in or trapped. Again, we have that commitment. I'm not going to break that commitment. But at the same time, if we look at the statistics, I'm least likely to break that commitment.
So, but commitment for you when you guys got married, it was just to see how it goes?
Death do you part, sickness and health. Whatever goes on, that's it.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's your commitment. So it's not for commitment. Again, it's not just when things get rough, we're going to leave. You know what I mean? Like,
but I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that.
Right. But you guys did do that.
Correct. I did. She did too. But like I said, we didn't need it. For example, if I said I want to be forever boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm sure she wouldn't have fluctuated too much and be like, no, like I want to be married. You know, again, it could be a cultural thing. Like if you have it in your mind, like, hey, I'm Italian, for example, right? Or something, right? And maybe I know you're Italian, so I used it.
He's like, I'm Italian, yeah.
So you might say, family is big, I want to get married. But then if we look at the Black community, and this is the reason I used the pros and cons. Black community.
So I'll talk about this Latin community.
Right. And then if we look at the Black community, how broken it is.
So what's the Latin?
The Latin community is more traditional. However, if we look at the statistics from let's say from the 1960s, we can start to see the discrepancy in those traditional values starting to fade away and moving to more modern.
Yeah. And again, then you could go back to me where I'm like, it doesn't work. You got to have the actual commitment. So I actually love that you guys actually have the traditional.
But most women, or I'm not going to say most, a good amount of women in the newer generation have a modern mindset and they're leaving the traditional mindset behind. You have a traditional mindset, so it's difficult sometimes when you have a modern mindset and it's not going to change, right? But we do have to look at both traditional and modern, and we can have a blend of the two. I just call it traditional with modern flares. Yeah. So for example, if the woman wants to be married and wants to work, I call that traditional with modern flares. Because if the man is able to work and provide, the only reason she would go to work is either because she doesn't feel safe in the relationship or she wants a hobby.
Well, I guess it depends. But I think even remember, I have 5 children and they're all in their 20s and 30s, like seriously. So I get how things are different, but I'm still noticing, I'm just telling you, when it comes to the matters of the heart, people still, regardless if they're more modern, if they're more traditional, talking generalization, they want that real commitment. They want marriage. They just don't know what that is now. They don't know if people even value that now. That's the struggle. But that's truly what they want. Really
everyone wants happiness, but not everyone knows how to get it.
Yeah. Joy. Okay, good answer. So anyway, you're happily married in a committed relationship. I love it.
Yes, I am. But again, I don't need a piece of paper. I'm telling you.
I know, but you do have one.
it's almost like saying I have a firearm and I can go out and harm people.
You went and you signed the paper, and now
Yeah.
you guys have that commitment. You do have one, regardless.
Correct. But like I said, even if I didn't have it, it would still be the same. Because if you have your person, I'm just telling you, if you have your person, you have your person.
Yeah, and I just totally disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. I think it's not the same. Okay, that's cool. We can disagree or disagree. That's what I love about these podcasts.
I mean, you can disagree all you want, but I'm just telling you how it is.
Yeah, I'm telling you how it is. This is what I do for a living. Yeah.
Yeah. Go. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well,
do you
glad
remember
we're out of that loop. On to me. So I guess the first question of how did I know she was my I had no idea. A lot of people do kind of give that answer that Michael gives, like when people, because I've asked the same thing, like, how do you know this is the person married? And they're like, you just know. I'm like, well, I didn't just know. I was dating multiple women at the time. She was also dating multiple men, to be fair, and we both knew that. We were both talking about like, hey, we're here, we're looking for something, but we're not sure what we're looking for. But we both know we're looking for like a. Actually, you know what's funny? So we met on a dating app.
That's awesome.
And the first message that she sent to me was pretty funny. And she said, why are you here? And I'm like, that's a little
combative.
You're here too, aren't you? And but her thing was great. And I give this advice to women that ask me this question now. Is like, where they're like, oh, I don't want to scare the guy off. Like, should I be forward? I'm like, absolutely be forward. Because a man that's looking for something will be okay with that. It's the man that's not that'll act like you did something wrong. Because my girl was like, well, why are you here? And I said, I'm looking for a relationship. Why are you here? And she said, me too. Call me. And then I was like, well, that's even weirder now because she just asked me to call her. But, all right. And at first I thought that she sent me the wrong message. I was like, nah, she probably didn't mean to call me because we only had 2 messages. That's not how dating apps work. But it also was kind of intriguing. I'm like, okay, cool. And I called her. I was like, did you mean to give me your number? She's like, yeah, I told you to call me. I was like, oh, that's weird. She's like, why? And so I had to explain to her, this is why it's weird. And she goes, no, I don't care. She's like, I know what I'm looking for. And if you're not looking for that, that's cool. She's like, so I understand if a guy's going to run, it's not because of me, it's because he didn't want it. So I didn't really know that I was looking for her. I had a few other girls that I liked. I actually liked one of the girls more than her, to be honest. But she kind of ghosted me. And then I started talking to her more. And I guess because my focus wasn't on the other girl, I really started to get to know her and I started to like her. And then as time started to grow and evolve and I saw different parts of her, and I started realizing that I'm enjoying her company a little bit more. And as I started to enjoy her company a little bit more, I naturally started moving away from talking to these other women. And then I started going on the dating app less. And then I just eventually kind of came out and told her, I said, hey, I know you're talking to other guys and I want you to stop. And we had that conversation. She's like, why? And I'm like, because I like you a lot more than the other women I was talking to. And I've all kind of told them to go away. And I just want you to be here with me now. And so we had those conversations and it turned into a commitment. And, I think it was the progressive growth that let me start to know, because I didn't. And I think sometimes you don't. I think sometimes it's just about learning if it's the person for you. And I did learn that after a bit. And there were moments that I questioned it too, right? Because even in that moment where you're starting to get to know the person more, and now there is that commitment aspect, now you start realizing or start questioning, do I want to be committed to this person? Like now it's here. Do I still want to do this? And so I think that dating period started to really clarify a lot of things. And to be fair, some of it moved very quickly because I was about to transition out of being a therapist and become a firefighter. And so I wasn't going to see her a lot. And I said, hey, I was like, a little bit of an interesting proposal here. I'm about to go into the fire academy where my days are like starting at 3:30, 4 a.m. and they end at about 7 p.m. And I do that every day. And then I'm probably not going to see you much. Want to move in together? And she said yes. And we moved in together. And then we would fight like crazy because it was like culture shock. She's Korean, I'm Italian. So the cultures are different. And it was really hard. I mean, sometimes we would fight until 3 a.m. and I had to be up at 3:30. So I wouldn't sleep some nights. And I remember it was just the most difficult time of my life. But for some reason, I wanted to go through difficulty with her. And I think it was because of what I said before, is that I was able to see that the difficulty was mostly because of me. It was mostly because I couldn't recognize the shortcomings within myself. And I didn't like that she pointed that out. I didn't like that she would challenge me. I didn't like that she demanded that I become better. But I think the deeper truth is that every man wants that. And maybe that's why, even if I didn't recognize it, I was still drawn to it. It was like this addiction of, she's really challenging me to show me I'm more capable than I think I am. I'm like, how do I let go of something like that? Because that means that she sees something deeper in me than I'm able to see. And like, damn, that's the woman you need. So for the other part of your question, what is a man looking for? I believe a good man is looking for that. Am I a good man? I'd like to think I am. But I also want to say that
You're both a good man.
Thank you, Charlene. It means a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what a good man wants. A good man wants the woman that can see past his thick-headedness. A man wants the woman that will give him a bit of a benefit of the doubt, because maybe he doesn't see anything, but is he trying? Because there were many times I fell short. And I fell short because of things that might have happened to me in my previous relationships, or just my own ego getting the best of me at times. But know that that doesn't mean the man doesn't want you. It's just the man's fighting his own battle, and he could really use your damn help.
Yeah.
And my woman has to be one capable of helping me grow. And I think this is an interesting distinction, because there was a moment I had a really, man, you guys missed me on a bad day a few weeks back. And it wasn't a bad day because of her. It was a bad day because something happened in business, and it was like an explosion. But worse than that, like a nuke went off. And I remember I didn't want to talk about it at all. The thing I wanted to do was I wanted to go downstairs, pretend like the day never happened, and just sit with my daughter and my girl and forget that life exists for a moment. And she came down, I came down, she kept asking me about it. And it pissed me off. And I kept my cool. And I just said to her, I don't want to talk about it. And then she started getting moody. And then she started doing the whole like sort of ignoring me thing. And I was going to go put our daughter to bed because I said I'm going to do it. And even though I wasn't in the mood, I was like, I'm going to do this. I want to be with my daughter regardless. And I said, a little snappy, I said, should I bother coming back down, or are you going to give me this attitude the rest of the night? And I was being a dick, that's right. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I was pissed because I was in a crappy mood, and now you're giving me a cold shoulder. Mm-hmm. And as we talked about it, she said, I'm not mad at you. I'm upset because I'm supposed to be your, what'd she say? I'm supposed to be your safe space. You're supposed to be able to come to me with anything. And I said, no, it's not that you're supposed to be my safe space. You're supposed to be my comfort. When the world is hard, because it usually is, especially for a man who's got a lot of shit going on, he doesn't always need a safe space. He needs a space to forget the world exists. I said, and by you pushing and pressing and asking me for it because you want to be my rock, and I get that and I appreciate that, that's not what I need. I need you to be my comfort. I need you at the hard days, in my rough days. I need to come home and get a hug from you and not get a therapy session. And so I think the biggest thing that even clarified for me is what I was really looking for in my relationship. I have people I can confide in. I have mentors. I have coaches. I have friends. I just need you to be that space of love when I need it the most. And so I think for me, the biggest things, if I could just reiterate for the listeners of what I look for is, and what I think is important, is a woman who will help me grow, a woman who can make me forget the world on my worst days.
Awesome. Fabulous. I love both of you guys' answers.
Mm-hmm. And it's the aspect of being his peace, I believe, just to encompass it, to understand that, okay, if he's not ready, he will be one day. Right, or one moment. It might not happen when we want, or the exact time, the exact minute. It might be the day after, week after. It will happen. I'm telling you, it will happen. But peace, right? Like, we don't want to have to go fight battles after we've been fighting battles all day, especially when that nuke just went off. Like, it's difficult, right? Because we're just trying to, formulate everything that has just went on in our mind, and we don't necessarily want to give the burden to the people that we're supposed to be protecting and providing for. Why give worry to someone when they don't need it? I'm sure you probably have seen memes and stuff of fathers who have the jigsaw pieces missing and they're giving it to their kids, or if they have like fire barrage of missiles coming at the father, and the father is like protecting the household and the family. It's a sense of duty almost for men, where we want to take that, we want that burden, we don't want to give it to anybody. And it's a sense of pride, maybe. I understand that it could be foolish sometimes to not ask for help, but when we learn to go through those moments, we become more powerful in the end. And then seeing how you act, when we go through that, we're probably going to be more ready to go to you when we have a bad day, saying, hey, we had a rough day, but only thing I need right now is just to hang out with you and hang out with my child, and I'll be good. That's all I need. It could be that simple. We don't have to talk about the day. You don't need the finer details. We told you exactly what we needed. So the aspect of peace, we told you the white flag, but sometimes gotta be feisty. You gotta fight. So it's always interesting.
Yeah. But
it's
two people, Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
So if a man needs peace, a woman wants peace too. And if a man needs this, a woman wants that too. It's just different how they get it. And so a man, a lot of times that he needs a little space for quietness, because men go inwards. I get it. We got to understand, for women, what makes them have peace is that connection, is that conversation. And so when a man doesn't share with her, then she doesn't have peace. There's a sense of like, almost like probably how your lady was feeling, like an urgency, like that's how she feels connected. So I really think it does come down to, like the yin and the yang, really knowing each other, really giving each other what each other needs, and just being aware of each other, because there's an importance of, like what you said, Michael, if you come home and you're like, you've had a really hard day and you're like, I didn't need a moment. But then also she's going to need for you to share. And when men don't share, and when men are vulnerable and open their hearts with their ladies, they don't feel that connection. They don't feel the safety, believe it or not. That is a safety thing for a woman, when she knows that her man can come to her and be vulnerable. And we're not here to like fix your problems, because you're a grown ass man. You can do your own damn problems. But we're here to just be that place, to just listen, to ask you questions, to, be involved in your life. So, I think it takes both. Like, I think what you said is really important, for a man, that he needs that. He needs to be honest and tell her he needs that. But I also think it needs to come forward and like, hey, babe, give me this time, but I'm going to come back and we're going to share and we're going to have a conversation.
Right. So you need the understanding that we need space, and then the woman understands that she needs the aspect of patience, because if she doesn't have that, she wants it immediately. That's when we can have some issues. I want it now, rather than, when you're ready or when you're capable. I would rather do it when I have a clear mind, where I'm not going to be angry and I can say exactly what I want to say, versus I'm coming from a place full of emotion, maybe anger, and I'm going to blow up, and I don't want that anger to be directed at anybody. Exactly. Right. Now we're in the crazy cycle.
But it's up to the man to also articulate that to his lady. You know what I mean? And you need to say, babe, it has nothing to do with you. I just need a little space. But also follow up and say, and when I kind of clear my mind for a moment, I'm going to come back and I would love to have a conversation with you. Because if a man's just like, no, that's bullshit, and then he doesn't come back and talk to her, then what if she's not, both parties are not getting what they need. So if he needs something, he also needs to be aware of her, and she needs to be aware of him. And yes, I totally agree with you. If a man is asking you for that, then absolutely give the man the space, knowing that he's going to come back though, guys, and and share with her and talk with her. So I think it has to be both ways, because relationships are 100 and 100.
This goes to the connecting points as we begin to wrap up. I wrote down things in life cause us to slow down and pay attention. And if we look at our beginning and our end, and then I'm even going to put in our individual sessions where I had Vin by himself and Charlene by herself, and you can see same mindsets, same personalities, loving, caring individuals, prideful, all of those different things, and you put them into the mix, you can still get the same understanding of what they're trying to say from this, I'm not going to call it chaos, but like the group sessions are typically a lot more dialogue, where it's not just one person speaking their thoughts and then me asking questions. This is a different dynamic. That's why I have the group sessions. As we begin to wrap up, we're going to start with Charlene. Tell the audience where they can find you and if you're doing anything in the coming months, work, seminars, books, etc.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say, Michael, I think you're awesome. This is the second time I've been on, and I hope, listeners, have people follow Michael, have you guys, listen to this podcast, because what I love about it is he brings on just different conversations. There's different perspectives, and he has room for all that. So there's so much different ways that you can learn and hear different. I love the diversity. I love how you just allow us to just talk and have these discussions and have our opinions, and they learn. So first of all, I think you're awesome. So thank you so much for having me on. And right now, I have just launched a podcast. And I'm really excited about it. And I would love if you are looking for, if you're single, if you're in a relationship, or you're just curious about relationships and just romantic relationships, I would love for you to check out my podcast. It's called Love Stories by Charlene Byars, and I'm everywhere. So we are on YouTube, so you can watch it. I interview people. I interview some great people about relationships, love, couples, you name it, anything to do with relationships, love, and dating. And what else? And we're on, all the other platforms where you can listen to a podcast. So that's what I have going on right now. If anybody ever wants to, have more conversation about dating and relationships, you can reach me on Instagram. I'm pretty much everywhere, and I'm MS Charlene Byars. And I do have, for you ladies who are listening, I have free resources that you are definitely able to get your hands on. I have a book, an ebook. I have a masterclass. So you can all see that on my website, which is charlenebyars.com.
Perfect. And I'll make it easy for everyone. Toss all that stuff in the description box below. And thank you for your kind words. And I'm going to be definitely pushing out that podcast so people can tune in. All right. Because podcasters are always giving new insights. And I just love listening to different podcasts myself. Vin?
Yeah, Michael, thanks for having me on today. It's definitely been a fun time. And for me, same thing. You could find me on a Google search, or you could just make it easier wherever you'd like to go find me. My name is Vin Infante everywhere. You can check me out on Instagram. The only thing with Instagram is vin.infante. I couldn't get the original name, so that's okay. And then you can check out my website for anybody who's curious about going deeper on what I do and how I support. It's www.vincentinfante.life. You could always get a free call. And I have a newsletter that I do twice a month. It's on personal development. And I have a free resource called the Mission Board, which is helping you basically plan the trajectory of your future. So you get all that stuff, and you can check me out wherever you like, or not, if you thought I was a jerk.
No, you were definitely not a jerk.
No, you're good.
No, actually, this was a great conversation. It was a lively conversation. I knew the dynamic. I actually had a men's coach supposed to come on, but he wasn't able to come on. He sent me a message. So the animosity that you got, Vin, was supposed to be for the men's coach because he helps men with what Charlene does with women. So he's working constantly with divorce, all of that. It would have been the perfect mix. So I'm going to have Charlene come on and debate him at another time.
Love it.
But today was a great conversation. And we do have, the rest of the year coming up. The next group episode is going to come out in January. We're going to be starting off the year strong. But it doesn't mean that we can't finish this year strong. And the work that Vin does, helping people, maximize their potential, go through the hard moments in their life, that right there is going to be a necessity at this point. We all have the ability to progress and make progress. And if you're a lady who, is tired of being single and ready for a relationship, learn how you can be that feminine natured woman that is going to be, a viable option for men, because again, men today, they just have a different mindset when it comes to relationships. And if more women decided to be feminine and to step away from that masculine boss babe mentality, I almost guarantee you, Charlene, more men would commit. So I want to thank you both for coming on, spending some time with me, and just talking about your work in general. All right, everyone, I'd like to thank you so much for watching that episode, that Group 5 episode with my guest, Vin Infante and Charlene Byars. We had a spicy beginning, a calm middle, and a luxurious ending. And when we can get the different mindsets of different coaches and you put it into a room, you never necessarily know what you're going to get. The concoction is always going to be unique. When you focus on your different perspective in your field, right? So Charlene is going to be helping women with their femininity, empowerment, and then Vin Infante is helping individuals with all aspects of their life, personal and professional development, helping individuals with all the rough moments and tough moments in their life. And it's important that we have and we create a unity between coaches, between getting the help that you need in order to elevate yourself. One of the reasons why I chose this topic this year to be the aspect for the conversation is because when we think about the year, we have 6 more months to make some type of movement. We have 6 more months to make some type of progress. However, not everyone is going to do that. People might have a system that they have created the past 6 months, and that's going to be their system until the end of the year. Maybe things fluctuate, but we have already set ourselves in stone for the first 6 months, right? That was our habit. That was our discipline. And if that system that you created is not good, begin to change it. One of the ways that you can be changing that is that you're doing the work for yourself. What needs to be done? Do you have to make some changes? Who is going to help facilitate those changes? And I believe depending on where you are right now, the links in the description box below, you're going to find people that are going to help you along that way. You can be looking for a relationship. You could be looking for betterment. You could be looking just for a change in your current circumstance. And those links, all of them are going to be below. Check them out, follow them, join the newsletters, follow them on social media, and continue to be involved in the work that they're doing because they are helping change the world, a person at a time, a group at a time. When we can start to do that, my mission becomes a lot easier. We are trying to unite people from different areas, from different realms that they might have never ever met before, but we can bring them together. So I encourage everyone to check out Vin and Charlene and stay tuned for Coaching in Session Group 6.